Nichols, and welcome to World Title.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 2021 Formula SimRacing Academy Championship here from the Circuit de la Sarthe, more famously known as Le Mans. Yes, we are in the north of France at a circuit that, in my opinion at the very least, should only be used for sports cars. But the brains and boffins at Formula SimRacing decided, hey-ho, let's have a race at this circuit. So, yeah, here we are. Not even using the beginner layout, using the full layout, the same as the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Of course, we're coming towards the closure of this year's championship. Only 4 rounds to go after today. And, well, of course, as always, I am joined by the ever-faithful Felix van Delft. Felix, with not many rounds to go, the championship is looking pretty set at the top of the tables, but there's still plenty more places to fight for as we make our way here today.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it is a bit of a unique venue that we're going here. The Circuit de la Sarthe, or better known as Le Mans, as you mentioned, is not really a track where you go to with the kind of cars that we drive at Formula SimRacing, Formula type cars. But I think it is going to be a very, very interesting evening today, or afternoon and evening later on, of course. The Pro and World Championship races as well, all made possible, of course, by our great sponsors 3D Rap, Masita eSports and SimLab. But yeah, I mean, long straights, a few corners here and there, but mainly the straights are going to be very crucial here for most of these drivers. Probably quite a lot of fuel saving coming into the strategy for the race. It's a 14-lap race here in the Academy Series. Sounds quite short, of course, because it's only 14 laps if you compare it to a venue like Zandvoort, where we had 71 or something laps. But of course, this circuit is quite long. I think lap times are about 3 minutes, maybe just a bit under 3 minutes. In qualifying, we saw, I think, something like 58 in the amateur series earlier today, but surely that's going to be a bit quicker here in the Academy already, and of course even quicker in the next 2 upcoming series.
Yes, indeed, of course. Plenty of decent, very decent drivers here in the Academy Championship, regardless, same with the Amateur Championship and those above. And of course, 14 laps here today. Going to be another 18 laps for the Pro Championship race later on. But we were looking at strategy before this race, Felix. We're having our usual pre-race strategy discussions, and it's going to be pretty tight today, I hear. Looking at 7 laps on a tank of fuel and 8 if you're extremely good at fuel saving. Now, to the keen observer, or even to potentially the more knowledgeable observer, you could think, 14 lap race, 7 laps, yeah, easy double, easy single stop. But that tank under extreme fuel saving can go those 8 laps, but we also have a formation lap. And we also have a leader that is probably going to be about 5 seconds up the road by lap 3. So this is going to be an interesting strategy game, because what we have to see is who decides to try and get a breakaway group going, and who decides to sit in that main slipstream group and try and play that strategy game out. And Felix, we don't usually have to worry about fuel strategy because, of course, you know, we know what the fuel tanks are like, and it's never usually too big a problem. It's more the tyres that people go on, especially, you know, towards the Pro and the World Championship. But here today, the fuel tank, for once, and I think maybe for the second time this season, is actually the crucial factor.
Yeah, definitely, because I think the tyre wear is is not going to play much of a role here, of course, with those massive straights. Only a few corners, probably in the Porsche curves. You would have a bit of wear, but on the straights, it's not going to be doing much to the tires, obviously. So I think wear-wise and degradation it's not going to be a lot of struggles for these drivers, but we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Qualifying should be starting in just a second. I think the first drivers are starting their outlaps, but of course those outlaps are also 3 minutes long. Qualifying is a bit different here, of course, because of the length of the track. Normally we would have 3 hot laps, as it also says on the intro, but today it is actually 2 hot laps for everybody, since you don't have time to do 3, simply. There's 10 minutes in the session, you have a 3-minute outlap, then you have a 3-minute hot lap, and then you can escape after your first hot lap immediately, and then do another outlap, and then do another hot lap, and that's just in time to do 2 laps, but 3 is not going to be possible.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, we look at this and we go, well, surely 2 hot laps, it's almost Super Bowl. Well, that's what it is today, you know. If you don't get it right the first time, you've only got 1 other attempt to get it right. It's like Monaco in a way, where you're not necessarily, where you're at Monaco, you're not necessarily limited at laps, but you know, you're limited by the walls, and if you make 1 mistake, that lap is basically ruined. Well, here at Le Mans, well, you're more limited by the amount of laps you have. You know, you've got 1 less attempt to get it right, and you know, it's that difference in, you know, it's that difference in sort of way that it's working that's going to cause so many interesting notes. Well, 8 minutes left of qualifying. We're already 2 minutes into the session. Drivers starting to make their way towards the end of the lap. All the first driver's about to just exiting our nose, so starting to head into the final sector. We were having a look at Nataro. We're now having a look at Damien Scauron. Of course, the driver that has been infamous here in the Academy Championship, promoted from the Amateur Championship just before the, I believe it was the 3rd round of the championship. And, well, he has been nothing but a front runner. I don't think he's actually lost a race outside of 1 singular event this entire season of racing here in the Academy Championship. And, well, can he make it another? He's just making his way now down towards the 4 chicanes. We'll see what he can do for ground effect sim racing. Of course, private qualifying once again, so no one can, you know, get away with little sneaky drafting techniques. And of course, it's all down to driver skill. Across the line, running up the hill through the very nice and lazy right-hander of turn 1, hitting the braking zones for the Dunlop chicane of 2 and 3. Make your way under the Dunlop Bridge, over the crest of the hill. You look down and it's 2 beautiful sweepers in front of you. Hit the brakes, get the car pitched in, and then pin it out once again as you bring it through the right. Try not to lose the car on the bumps. GTs will actually get very screwed there, so let alone high-powered Formula 1 cars with, you know, 1,000 horsepower under the bonnet. Add a Tetra Rouge and a blast down the Mulsanne straight. Beautifully long time in 7th gear. I'd be amazed with how many engines you can actually blow up if you're not too careful down here, running in dirty air for too long, or, you know, not enough cooling. Into the first of the chicanes, get the car pitched in the rear, coming out for Scourer. Try and get it settled through the left and then pin it to get the power down through the right, bring the car left and then slowly back to the center of the road. Of course, the track cambered on either side. One track where a lot of the times you'll see cars, especially in GT, will hug the center lines just to, you know, not risk any loss of top speed. Bring it to the right for the braking for the second chicane, get the car pitched in. It's a lot faster, this one, so you can afford to be a bit more brave on the braking through the very fast right-hander. You don't even notice the corner in any form of motorsport here. And bring it down over the crest. This is where the Porsche flipped many, many years ago, back in the olden days of endurance motorsport, into the Mulsanne hairpin, get the car turned in, use as much curve as you dare without essentially risking the rear end deciding to bounce up on you. And now we go for the long, long run down to the Indianapolis corner. Again, this is all flat out. Something you'll hear us say quite a lot this race. It's all flat out. Make their way towards Indianapolis. Slight little lift, hit the brakes, turn in, and make sure that you use the camber to your advantage. Just use as minimal steering as possible, run down to Arnage. Car turns beautifully, don't use too much curb, it is actually cambered against you under the Porsche banner, and now on the run to the curves. Such a beautiful track to drive, especially in multi-class racing. Formula cars, I am yet to decide. Bring the car to the left, throw the car in through the right, and minor little left. Not much braking will be required. Pitch the car through the left. This is where Manor crashed it a few years ago in the LMP2. Bring it through. You can see the car just not wanting to turn. So little downforce. These guys are actually running here today to get as much top speed as possible. And then down again towards the forward chicanes. How much curb do you dare use? Well, not too many, otherwise the game will smite you with a vengeance. And also because you can't use too many curbs here. But across the line, and Damian Scauron will only go second. Cosmo Pasciuto, half a second faster for Royal Blue Racing. Well, here is Dimitri Zaharov for the NRWO. He comes across the line. Where's he going to go? He's going to go in 9th place in his first attempt. Here's Harry Smith and Metrex, the guy that we have seen up the front of the order on a few occasions, and more running around, sort of the lower end of the top 5 for the rest. Comes across the line, and he jumps to 4th, 1.3 seconds off of the pole. This is going to be a bit more of a spread field, I feel, just depending on confidence, because again, the lot of the time that you're going to find is going to be on traction. And, well, if you haven't got that confidence on the traction zones, you've got not really anywhere else to make up that much time, because it will literally, you will lose so much time just due to you not having that momentum. On board with Pasciuto on his outlap, coming through Tete Rouge, and now onto the straight. Not very straight, but it is a straight nonetheless. Yeah, a very bumpy one at that.
Interesting to see as well, because the time is so short. Of course, we talked about this before the qualifying session briefly. Because the time is so short, you can't really do a slow outlap here. You've now 2 minutes and 35 seconds on the clock, and a single lap, a flying lap, costs 2 minutes and 57 seconds. At least the fastest what Pasciuto has been doing. So they need to get a bit of a hurry on. Probably will limit their pace a little bit because the tires wear off slightly in your outlap as well. Then of course, but yeah, I guess some drivers that were a bit slower maybe made a bit of a mistake on their flying lap. Somebody like Max Haas, who is about 6.5 seconds off the pace, might be struggling to make it in time to do a second lap.
Yes, indeed, and hopefully no one ends up outside of the theoretical 107, Felix, because I remember at the Azure Grand Prix I said if anyone manages to get outside of it, they're going to have the Alessandro Deleda Award in qualifying, and I think I might just have to keep that one for the rest of the season for a bit of fun, really. Everyone out on track at the moment outside of Kamil Jablonski, who I don't actually think is allowed to set a time this event. I believe that's due to RSVP issues. And then, obviously, at the moment, Tommy Yalitalo's in the pits. He won't be doing another lap, sat in 14th, 3.7 seconds of pace. Not the usual positioning that we've seen from Yalitalo. Usually a lot higher up the order. Few drivers that is nice to see in that top 10. Obviously, Kevin Morville is up there in 8th place. Davidon Brantham in 9th. Obviously, Zaharov in 10th. Battala's actually up in 6th. Great showing for him so far. Just looking at who else. Sean Jones is up in 13th. He's reserving for Petr Vagapov today, I believe it is. But Felix will most likely call me out and tell me that I'm wrong.
Not sure.
Even Felix isn't sure. That's always helpful. That's good. First time. I think it's the first time this whole season. Not either of us have been sure what's going on. Either way, Frank Hamming through the forward chicanes for HM Engineering. A very, very small HM Engineering outfit now compared to what once was. Across the line and towards Taman under the very, very iconic gantry here. And then takes it through the chicane. Gets the car out as wide as possible. You just see the car bouncing as he goes over the curb. It just shows how high these curbs actually are compared to most circuits on the calendar. I had a slight little rear end moment there. Actually wanted to step out on him. He's wide from Tetra Rouge. Frank Hamming Very well saved, sir, but that lap is ruined.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess he didn't get a cut track for going outside of the limits there, because he's still continuing. But like you said, I think that is too big a mistake to really get a good lap time, especially as it's coming onto the straight. You lose so much speed by having such a mistake, and so much lap time consequently, of course, as well. So I think he won't be improving his second sector time at least. Maybe you'll try to get a better sector 3. Of course, it's a very long track, so you still have a bit of margin to find some improvements. Adam Rainey, he's out. He's not going to be improving his lap time. Ooh, another tank slapper as he breaks into the first chicane, or sorry, the second chicane. So having his car seems quite loose here, at least on the rear end, under braking. And we saw a similar thing on Scarron's car as well on his first flying lap.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what is possible. We're now currently having a look at Demi Scarron because he has just gone purple in the middle sector. Interesting, the sector lines being completely different places from what I remember them. But currently heading now down towards Indianapolis for the final time of asking for Scarron. Brings the car as far left as possible again, pitches it right. He is lazy on the brakes. I cannot imagine if someone makes a slight little error in there, how big of an accident that's potentially going to be. Especially with the speeds that you actually are taking into there here in the Academy Championship. Under the Porsche banner, and away he goes again.
Prosciutto also very quick in that second sector, also purple. So I think it's going to be quite close between Prosciutto and Scarron in the end here. Prosciutto, at the moment, looking the quickest. Again, a little bit of a correction for Scarron coming into the Porsche curves. This is all flat out. Right-hander, a little bit of a downshift. Of course, these cars are running a very low aero setup as well to get those high top speeds. Now the last 2 corners basically for Scarron. Take those inside curves, get the car slowed down in the meantime. On the power to get to the line, what is it going to be for Scarron? A 228.0, and it's not enough to take away pole position from Prosciutto. Prosciutto is also going to improve his lap time to a 57.682. So Prosciutto, unless somebody else can still improve, will be on pole position. Harry Smith is on a personal best in the first and second sectors, but what is it going to be in the last sector here for Smith? Across the line he comes, and he will be going to 3rd place. So good qualifying again for Harry Smith, but Cosmo Prosciutto will be starting from that pole position.
The only driver in the 57s here in qualifying as well, Felix. So that Royal Blue car on raw pace alone is looking very, very handy indeed. Here are the results for the qualifying, the top 10. Cosmo Prosciutto for Royal Blue Racing will make it, I believe, his first pole position of the year with a 2 minutes 57.6. Matthew Clip is going to be ecstatic and probably jumping for joy right now in the garage there at Royal Blue. Second place is Damien Scarron, 3/10 back for Grand Effect SimRacing team. And third is going to be Harry Smith, 6/10 back for the Netrex Grand Prix team. Good to see them up there as well at the end of qualifying. Fourth is going to be Adam Rainey, a driver who has been looking very, very strong this season ever since joining FSR Academy. He's going to line up 4th. 5th is going to be Roberto Nataro, last time's 2nd place. He got his first podium of the season last time out. Well, maybe he can repeat that. He's a second off the pace in qualifying, but hey ho, it's a strategy game here, and we know what the guys at Go Speed are like. 6th is going to be Gerard Battala for Royal Blue. 7th, Thomas Andrea Mir Harry Soa for Royal Blue Racing. Great to see him here as well, a 1.7 off of pole. And then Gorosiek Lukashek for Royal Blue Racing, 1.7 off the pace in 8th. And then 9th is Frank Hamming for HM Engineering, and 10th is Kevin Morville for competition.
Yeah, great top 10, and it's going to be interesting to see in the race if Scarron is going to be able to take the reign once again. He has been, of course, been very dominant throughout this series. Finished, only didn't win in the USA and in Portugal. USA, I think, was a strategic mistake. Portugal just didn't have the best race that he could have. So let's see what they're going to do today. We said it before, strategy is going to be somewhat important on fuel, tires not so much. But we're going to have to wait and see what is going to happen. First, though, we're going to have a look at what Michi Hoyer has to say about this iconic track.
This is Formula Sim Racing. My name is Dimitri Zaharov and welcome guys to round 8 of the Formula Sim Racing 2021 season. We are here at Le Mans. It is the France Grand Prix and we do something that has never been done before. We are having an F1 Grand Prix around the famous circuit of Le Mans, and I'm taking you around here for the presentation lap. Coming out of the final fourth chicane curve, going across the line onto the start-finish straight, which is a little bit of a right bank corner, and yeah, heavy braking into turn 2 and 3. First chicane pretty tricky with the traction, loads of bumps on the actual curves. 4 and 5, no issue whatsoever. Going into 6 and 7. Over the crest, the car wants to break out. Tête Rouge needs to carry all the speed onto the Mulsanne straight. First sector's done, and you've already seen like the car wants to go over the crest, it wants to spin. There's not a lot of downforce on the rear wing as it is a high-speed circuit whatsoever. So yeah, coming over those crests you need to have a pitch-perfect suspension to make it work. Heavy braking zone into Mulsanne 1. Stay tight towards the curbs, but don't want to touch them. Then onto the second Mulsanne straight. Loads of slipstreaming to be seen right here. Probably the chicanes due to the great braking performance of the car. Not the very best opportunities for an overtake. Once again, 100-meter ball heavy braking zone into the second Mulsanne chicane. Again, slightly touch at the curbs, but you don't want to do that, as you have just seen. The car wants to snap straight away on you. Onto the final part of the Mulsanne straight towards Mulsanne corner. It's a bit of a tricky one because you need to line up the car to straight braking, then hard on the brakes, and due to the high braking forces, as you can see, the car can easily snap on you while braking. Especially remember those brakes becoming massively hot as soon as you try the breakdown from 360 kph down to like 100th. As we're going into Indianapolis, this is flat out, a little bit of a slide to the left-hander bank corner. Stay tidy on the exit. Tricky on the brakes again, hot brakes. Car wants to snap in the back again into Tête Rouge. Traction here ever so important. And now the most amazing part of the circuit, especially with that car. High downforce into the Porsche curves, into 6th gear you go, right, left, car wants to spin as there's no grip on the rear end. Another downshift into 5th, and then out of Porsche curves, don't want to go too wide over those rattle curves. They just slow you down, and into the 4th chicanes we go. Here the car needs to be able to really change direction as you wish to. It needs to stay stable and across the line, guys. That is one lap here around the Le Mans circuit, and well, we expect something entirely new. F1 at Le Mans has never been done before. We will see great slipstreaming, we will see interesting strategies, we will see, and yeah, let's find out who will cross the finish line first.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2021 Formula Sim Racing Academy Championship, brought to you by Mazida eSports 3D Wrap and SimLab here from the Circuit de la Sarthe in northern France at Le Mans. Right, well, Felix, we've slugged our way through qualifying, and we've now got 14 laps to well, I would say action-packed racing. It's more going to be a draft fest, most likely here for this race in the championship, and of course we've got plenty of points to talk about. We've got the main championship as we round down towards the end of the season, and the Triple Crown Championship, which is looking as close as ever. Pretty much anyone's game here to take it, and of course anyone from Scaron, I believe it's to pick Nataro, as you mentioned, is possible to take us to 6 cars in the hunt. It'll be pretty interesting to see who can actually take it today, Felix.
It definitely will be. Let's have a quick look at the standings of the regular season first. Then we'll look at the Triple Crown standings in just a second. Here we go. So, of course, Scaron still leading that championship. He's been doing a great job, like we mentioned. Basically won everything except for a few. Prosciutto, he's been doing good as well. Next to that, a lot of second and third placed finishes. Sorry, only third place finishes. Got a win though in sorry, that is the US. He did a great race there. And today, starting from pole position, who knows what might happen. Mocherino behind that, a bit of a gap to Frank Hamming, Harry Smith, Gerard Battala, Pignataro. He got a good second place last time around. Great drive in Azure. Dave Brandholm in 8th, Jake Danahan in 9th. I don't think he's driving today. And Massimiliano Riboli shared 9th with Danahan, but effectively in 10th place there. So this championship also still not decided, with a few races to go, of course. Prosciutto gets a few good results. Might be able to take Scaron down, but he really needs to start doing that today then if he wants to be able to make that work. And now let's see if we can get a look at the Triple Crown standings as well.
Yes, indeed, as we said, Prosciutto needs to start winning races, and well, if he does it here today, it'll also look very, very strong in the Triple Crown standings, because he is only 7 points behind Damien Scaron right now. A first and a fifth for Prosciutto, and a first and a second for Scaron, respectively. With Scaron's past, results, it'll be very difficult to see him finishing 8 points behind Prosciutto here today. It would actually require him to finish 4th with Prosciutto winning, so it'll be a very, very hard-fought race, I believe, for both of them. And I think Scaron might just be happy to take a second place in this one and take the Triple Crown and then go and dominate the rest of the standings. Of course, Frank Hamming sat there on 30 points, 15 points off the top spot. Harry Smith, 24. He is 21 points off. Then it's Riboli, who's 24, and Pignataro, who's 25. Realistically, those are the only guys that are going to be able to take the championship or the event here today. And of course, if Scaron is to DNF and Pignataro is to win, God forbid that happening, because we haven't seen that happen yet this season, Pignataro could actually take the Triple Crown title. It would require everyone else to be very much out of position, but it is a possibility on mathematics alone. So
definitely is.
Never count your chickens. Never count your eggs. Alex, words today, please. Never count your chickens before the eggs have hatched. And this will be the interest. This will be the entertaining factor today. Who finishes where? Because at the end of the day, Felix, anyone could finish anywhere.
They definitely can. Let's have a quick look through the grid, because I think they're already in the last chicane. We had a bit shorter formation lap than I expected, with Prosciutto on pole position, Scaron behind that, Harry Smith third, Adam Rainey in 4th position. Then behind them we have got Roberto Pignataro, Gerard Battala, Thomas Andrea Miasoa, Krecek Lukczak in 8th place. 9th will be Frank Hamming, Kevin Morville in 10th, Dave Brandholm in 11th, 12th Christian Mocherino, and I think it is time to cut back for the last. Sean Jones, Dimitri Zaharov, Massimiliano Riboli and Tommy Yelitalo in 16th place. Let's go to the grid, because the drivers are already on it.
Well, here we go. We wait for the lights to illuminate. See a car out of position. That's one of the HMEs. That's Hamming. But here we go. It's that time. The time of tension. Who gets off the line the best as possible. 5 lights, and away we go here in the France Grand Prix, the French Grand Prix. And already contact between Smith and Scaron, these two side by side. Already coming up towards turn 1. It's going to be the inside for turn 2 for Harry Smith. Can he make it work? He's going to have to squeeze Scaron. He's going to get the better drive off the exit, but will Scaron hold it down the hill? No, he will not. Harry Smith will take second place. No, but Scaron's going to try and find it on the outside. It's still side by side for the first sector contact again. They're going to be side by side through Tetra Rouge, who backs out, and Scarron's hit Harry off. Smith is off. Scarron's taking him off. Oh, dearie me. What will this mean for the championship? Because this is big. That most likely will result in a penalty for Scarron. And, well, Nataro's up to second. Hold on a minute. I said about DNFing. If Scarron doesn't finish in the points, Nataro could take this. What is going on? It's lap 1 and already the Triple Crown is in tatters.
Yeah, very interesting first couple of corners. Lots of contact, lots of little crashes, low downforce, perhaps making the drivers a little bit more prone to mistakes here. But of course, this slipstream, this is what it's all about. Look at Scarron and Pignataro battling it out, trading places effectively straight after straight. This time it's Scarron up the inside for the second chicane. Both of these drivers are on the hard compound of Tire Pursuit is on the soft compound. That is interesting to see. So he will be going to the hard compound in the next stop, the only stop probably of this race. As now Pignataro didn't have a great exit. Now Adam Rainey right on his rear wing.
Of course, the Italian versus the Rainey. Not going to make it work on the outside there, Mr. Rainey. You've got to be very, very much on the inside at the Morzon Happen as the car off. There's contact between Morville and Motorino. That's not Motorino. No, yeah, it is Motorino. I take that back. Yeah. Big shunt. Hopefully everyone avoids the IC car squirming. Just don't want to see anyone make contact there. Oh, dearie me. It looked like a tank slap on the exit for Morville. It just, rFactor 2 collisions and they get caught up. We're now having a look at Riboli versus Smith. Smith on the recovery drive, remember, after being tapped off into the wall. I actually believe he did make contact there with the wall. So potentially nursing some damage there is the Netrex of Smith. It promotes Jablonski and Davidon Brantom up a couple places as well. Does that accident? 4 cars out already in Akone. Lushak, Bergen and Morville all out on lap 1. Motorino's actually still going after that accident, so kudos to him. Set barrel rolling through the sky, and, well, there ain't a cloud up there that's going to stop him. Back up to the fight for 4th, it's Battala versus Rainey. Battala very, very sideways there as Hamming gets very, very wide on the exit there. Making their way towards the 4th chicane. Through the left, through the right, through the left, and through the right again. And that slide has dropped Battala off the back of Pignataro. Adam Rainey's already in the pit lane, Felix, so not sure why, but a very, very early stop for Rainey. Maybe they're going for the 2-stop here today.
I guess, but I don't see how this makes sense to stop that early in the race already to put 1 liter extra in. Because I would assume you would want to be in a train to try and save some fuel. If you just pit now, you will come out in a lot of clean air, of course. Or you had a penalty. It might also be the case, actually. Let's see if we can find out what happened.
No, I think this is planned, Felix. You look at the gaps at the moment between the top guys. 2 seconds from Scarron to Pasciuto. 1.7 from Pignataro to Scarron. 1.6 Battala to Pignataro. They're not in slipstream range. They're not within that draft range. Whereas these guys that are in the mid-pack are. These guys are having to do something early to try and offset the disadvantage that they're going to have with that second pit stop. If they pit, towards the end of the race, they're going to risk, losing so much time. This is the thing. Like, as we said that it's going to be tight on fuel, especially with the formation lap. These guys, if they can save fuel, can make it work on a single stop. You look at, Smith, Jablonski and Branford. Smith might actually not come out of this race with a bad result in this instance, because you look at the guys up front, they're 2 seconds apart from each other. They're not saving fuel right now. No way in hell are they saving fuel. So they are going to have to 2-stop up there. I am fairly certain. So they are going flat out. And the question is it going to be enough to offset a 20-second difference? I really don't think so. But meanwhile, Smith versus Branthorpe. AFP versus Netrex. Netrex to the inside. Nice little bit of fighting going on there. You got Camille Jablonsk there as well for ground effect. Smith goes through. into Indianapolis, and I think Jablonski's going to have a look as well into the second part. No, he's not. He's going to run slightly wide through the mid-part, lose some corner speed. Through our knowledge, he's actually going to run very deep as well, but he's still got 2 seconds over Riboli, so not too much to worry about there for the ground effect driver, but David on Brantham on the hards, looking to close up on Smith on the softs, and I don't think the tyre gap is actually that big of a difference here today, so, you know, I don't think we need to be talking about who's on what compound necessarily. Maybe, you know, towards the end, if it, you know, the temperatures really do decide to, you know, overheat everything, but, you know, I don't see Adam Rainey being, you know, making that bad a call, doing that early, because he's now in a train, he's now, a few tenths behind Sean Jones, who, of course, himself is about, 4 seconds behind Andrea Miharisoa. If they can, you know, get themselves anywhere near anyone else, it's going to be tight, but maybe they can make it work. And this is the thing, we're not going to know until the final 5 laps of this race who can make it on fuel. Because unless you're a certainty in the middle of that pack and you've been saving enough fuel, you know, consistently doing that fuel mileage, we don't know who is good on fuel. It's so much more difficult to actually know. Obviously, unless, you know, we see that someone pits on lap 6, then we know they've got a problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the interesting one that we've got to deal with. And this race is going to go, like, strategy-wise, this race is going to go to the end, and we will not know. We're going to be left in the dark.
Yeah, definitely. Harry Smith is now closing into Dimitri Zaharov in the slipstream. Catching. Not enough to make the move just yet into the first chicane here. But surely if he gets a good exit, we'll be able to use that slipstream to get past him. Coming into the next chicane. Look at that dashboard. Speed's going up 340, 350. 360 around the outside, squeezed to the wall almost by Dimitri Zaharov. A bit naughty there. Harry Smith decides to have a look up the inside now. No, doesn't have the overspeed anymore. We'll have another little straight here after this corner. Again into the slipstream. See what Zaharov does this time. Stays on the outside. Inside will be for Harry Smith. Surely this is an easy move for him coming into Mulsanne corner. And indeed, job done. Zaharov will have some slipstream now, so Harry Smith will have to watch out. No DRS, tries to break the slipstream. Zaharov starting to close in. Indianapolis is a dangerous corner to go side by side with, but I think these two are going to try. On the outside, Dimitri Zaharov now. He has the overspeed. Will he be able to get past before the corner? Yes, he will. Takes the corner and takes the position from Harry Smith. Harry Smith has more speed through the corner. Zaharov goes a bit deep. That means Smith now gets the corner into Arnage, gets the position back. Once again, though, Zaharov has the slipstream. What will he do coming into the Porsche curves?
Well, he's going to go to the left-hand side, try and make it work on the outside of the Porsche curves. Is Harry going to actually back out? It's so close. Contact once again. It's going to slightly put Zaharov off, but I think that's a bit more of, you want to play those games on the Mulsanne, I'll play those games with you on the Porsche curves, son. And well, here comes Jablonski and Brantham as well through the left-hander. I'm already looking at some of the chats, Felix, and people are saying a World Champ's going to be interesting. I think World Champ, they're a bit more attuned to fuel saving from years gone by. I don't think it'll be as, you know, hectic and spread as we're seeing right now. And of course, longer race as well. Into the pits comes David Brantham, lap 4 coming in, Hamming as well. I think these guys are two-stopping as well. I don't think they are not going to be able to make it to the end. 10 laps is not possible on a tank. Onto the soft will go Brantham. So these guys are also in the Adam Rainey bunch as well. They're going to drop a fair way behind Adam Rainey. So already these guys who are ahead, I believe actually ahead of Rainey before the stops, if not far back, they are coming out of the pits 6 seconds behind Rainey.
Rainey was third, remember? He was battling with Nataro, so...
Very true, actually.
So he was a bit further up the road, but the gap is quite big indeed. It will be interesting to see how this unfolds compared to Pignataro and Scarron, of course. Those are the two that I think, well, Battala, I should say, probably more likely. Those are the two that are close to each other. Also, Riboli and Andrea Miasso are close to each other. Andrea Miasso got past Riboli. Riboli, of course, will now have the slipstream back from Andrea Miasso. Miasso gets a good exit, breaks the slipstream. Riboli will get some overspeed, but he decides to go out of the slipstream, which is
potentially running very tight temperatures.
Maybe,
if he's running it very close to that line, a lot of teams will do that here. You know, as much top speed as they possibly can. You know, you want to close that radiator off. Meanwhile, pick Nataro versus Gerard Battala. Battala has closed right in on the back of the Go Speed driver. Well, as they make their way out of the hairpin, didn't really look like Battala was trying too hard. Maybe playing the longer game. Well, as I say that, here he goes, blasting it to the left-hand side. Big Nataro will probably let him go. Side by side into Indianapolis. He's going to have to try it around the outside. He's a brave man is Roberto Pignataro, but he's going to make it work to the inside of Arnage. If he gets a decent run, he's looking at a very good exit, and there's contact between the two. They're still rubbing, they're still banging, and it didn't really help that Battala got loose, and that's sort of what caused the contact between the two. I'm going to have a look at the at everything else and see how tight that was, but Battala definitely got slowed down, definitely had to back out of it, and they make their way through the curve. You can see how much quicker that he is, and yeah, that contact was solely due to Battala's really getting out into the rear left of Pignataro. Not really much either of them could do outside of, maybe turn away from each other, but one of them would have been on the grass. So we will see something down to the stewards if it does get reported. Scarron in, lap 5. Ooh, this is the interesting one.
Yep, he'll definitely be doing a 2-stop too.
Yeah, no.
There's no way he's doing 10 laps on...
No, it's the tower that's going on the leader. I kept thinking it was, for some reason, the leader hadn't crossed the line. It's my bad. I'm too used to Scarron leading, Felix. You know this. But yeah, he is doing a 2-stop. We know the leader's going to have to... Ooh! If Pasciuto can make it to the... Now, have they got to do to the end of lap 6? The start of lap 7 for that fuel tank?
They have to do 7 complete laps.
Yes. Sorry, my brain is doing a... This is what happens when you're half asleep and you're called in last minute.
Interestingly, though, Scarron and Rainy is not too far apart. There's about a second between them. Rainy, of course, yes, he got some extra fuel. He got probably new tires, but there was 2-lap old tires that he switched off. So pace-wise, those wouldn't have made a big difference. So an undercut doesn't really have much effect here, I guess. But still interesting to see that Rainy is very close to the back of Scarron still.
Rainy's dropped off the back of Jones as well, if you look. Yeah. That heavy fuel has really dropped him off the back, or maybe there was contact or something. We don't know. What we do know, though, is that Pignataro is side by side with Battala, and well, he's taking the Corvette line across the second of chicane. He's going to have a very slow exit. Through will go Battala, understandably fair. Lets him go, gets in the slipstream. You don't lose too much by having to let the car go because, well, you get to the overspeed. To the left he will go, and then around the outside, contact between the two, and he's going to be wide on the entry, and that's a slide for Battala, and through will go Pignataro. And well, that is going to be game, set, and match for now between the two because, well, Harry Smith can about 2 seconds off of Battala. He's going to see that in front of him and go, well, I spy a potential overtake here, bit of contact, and then just so late. Oh, I think he locked the rear axle on the downshift, Felix. That looked very, very aggressive of a snap, so I think he might have shifted slightly too early and locked the rear axle. Back to the action, and back to a Pasciuto, 14 seconds out front. That car is flying. Another car that's flying is Dimitri Zaharov. He's 3/10 off the back of Jablonsk as they make their way towards the Porsche curves. And I
believe these two already switched positions on the main straight before, on the Mulsanne straight before. So they're just still close to each other. Skyron is fighting his way back up the field as well. Getting past Litalo just now.
He's
got
also
some
gotten
traffic,
past Jones.
of course. And yeah, that's not going to be helping him time-wise, I guess, with this traffic, even though he can get past him quite easily. Still not as easy as having the clean air. Maybe Slipstream will help a bit as well, time-wise, but I don't think
Smith is in, I believe.
No,
He must have just had a very, very slow chicane then, because I thought I saw him lose a lot of time there. But could just be my perception of things. But the thing is, right, the Scouron is, what, just over 10 seconds behind Smith now? And he's 14.8. And Smith is about, about 3 seconds behind Nataro. So it's about, 18, 19 seconds. It's going to be very tight between Nataro and Scouron, but Scouron's got to do another stop.
Yep.
I don't. Yeah, the 2 stops not going to work unless he can get on the back of Nataro, by a decent amount ahead by his second stop. And, well, it's obviously going to help that he's currently fighting with Battala and that everyone else around is fighting as well because, well, here's Rainey trying to get past Jones. Of course, Vale versus AFP versus Felix. 3 different teams, 3 different colour schemes, and 3 very, very different drivers. Jones goes to the right to protect the racing line. And here comes Adam Rainey straight to the inside. Top speed is very much a factor. Late on the brakes is Jones, and Jones is going to get the car stopped. No! Going to be very, very close. Someone on the exit. Slight bit of contact between the two. No one's going to really gain any advantage out of it. Jones going to be in the slipstream towards the Mulsanne Hep, and they will go. Goes to the inside. He's basically taking the Peugeot line down the straight, going on to the basically effectively gravel on the inside almost, I believe it is still. Gets it through. And Big Nataro versus Battala. That looked very aggressive of a switch, of an attempted switch back from Big Nataro. Not too sure what happened there, but it looked very, very feisty from the Italian. Makes his way towards Arnage, and out of the exit they will go, and that Royal Blue has dropped him out of Arnage, so maybe Battala is very, very much... I've just seen what happened. Battala basically just tried to cut Nataro off, coming down towards Indianapolis, so maybe a bit of hyper-aggression between these two, and I don't think it'll end too well at that rate.
Interesting would be to see what happens now with the pit stops. Pasciuto into the pits. What does Pignataro do? What does Battala do? Battala into the pits. Pignataro into the pits. Harry Smith into the pits. Jablonski, sorry.
He's got to be in. There's no way he can go another lap without running out of fuel. Everyone that's up the front, at the very least, will not be able to go another lap. I am Felix. I think this is the maximum, especially with the formation lap. This is effectively lap 8. So... what we have to see now is who is able to make this second stint work. Oh, contact! That's Pasciuto, is it? No, who is...
It's
not Pasciuto,
Zaharov.
no, sorry. Yeah, but that's Zaharov with no wheel. Who's lost their front wing? Is that Battala? That's Battala! Second place, Gerard Battala! Oh my, I saw that happen. I knew it was one of the Royal Blues. I thought it was Pasciuto for a moment. It wasn't, thank God. And Pasciuto's out half a second in the lead. So Pasciuto, on a potential 1 stop, is out in the lead of this race, Felix. Even if Scouron gets past, he's just got to let him get on with it. He's just got to sit there, sit in his slipstream, and he's won this race, Felix. Unless Scouron can pull something off now.
Yep. Good question. 8 laps is difficult to make it work. I have to wait and see if they are able to do so as well. Even these guys.
I've just noticed something as well. Actually, been noted by Anthony. Pasciuto is on soft, Felix.
Yeah, he is.
So he's 2-stopping.
Yep. He most definitely is.
So, interesting. So that... Ooh, this is going to be close. Now, actually, who started? I need to check race view here, Felix, because who out of this top lot, if anyone, is brave enough at this moment to try it? Meanwhile, Branton looking at Battala. Obviously, Battala with no front wing, so he's got immense straight line speed, but about nothing else at this point. Through will go Branton. Gonna have a look. Obviously, Scout we know is 2-stopping. Rainey we know is 2-stopping. Jones is still going. Nataro could be going for a 1-stop, Felix.
Oh, Battala, what are you doing?
Why are you fighting with someone with no front? I know it's Le Mans. I know that, you know, straight line speed is a virtue with no front wing, but what the hell are you doing, man?
This is...
This reminds me, and I don't mean to beat around the bush, but this reminds me of Zaharov during 2017.
Who's that?
Scaron's in the wall!
No, it's Jablonski, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's Jablonski. Ah! Don't give me heart attacks like this, guys. Oh my god, I'm going to have a heart attack at the end of this race, Felix, if anything else happens. But this harkens back. I don't know if you remember, Felix, but 2017, Zaharov especially, it just reminds me of the man driving with no wings around Suzuka. Meanwhile, in comes Jones.
He hasn't stopped yet, so...
No, so he's 1-stopping.
Probably.
Ooh. No, he is 1-stopping.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I would expect. But if he doesn't, I don't know.
Well, if he doesn't, then rip. But then rip and unlucky. Battala's in, Jablonski's in as well. Now Jones is going to come out in front of... John Jones is in the... No, he's in the top 10. He's just come out behind his teammate, who's proceeded to go straight on the chicane. Congratulations, Massey. You've once again proven it. Now, Massey's 2-stopping, by the way. So, this is interesting, actually. Because will Massey basically effectively work as a fuel-saving mechanism for Sean here? I wouldn't be surprised if he does, because realistically, it would be a good strategy for them just to basically sit with each other as close as possible and tow. Never mind. Either way, through will go Jones. Maybe they are taking turns. You know, they will swap every they'll swap every lap or something like that. Again, we don't know what the teams are thinking. We don't know what the strategists behind the scenes are thinking. But all we do know is it is very much possible right now for Jones to 1-stop this race if he can save enough fuel. Which could mean he has put a fail at the grid. I'm still going to go down. So Nataro, we know, is the first car. Sorry, no. Hamming. Because Hamming stopped on lap 3. At the end of lap 3. So Nataro, Smith is 2-stopping. Brandom's 2-stop. Don't tell me that Jones and Nataro are the only two going for a 1-stop here.
This is what happened to Battala, by the way. This is before the incident. Yeah. I don't think he could have done much about it.
Yeah, the
it's a bit of a
was very deceiving.
It's a bit of an unsafe release. Of course, pit boxes are quite close here. It's just a bit unlucky. But of course, what happened afterwards is a bit on him. Battling without a front wing is just a no-go. Also in the rulebook.
It's disgraceful behaviour as well. Your race is compromised, and it doesn't matter how little you try and compromise it. You do not compromise the race of someone else who hasn't made a mistake, especially when the mistake is caused by yourself in that scenario. Or, even if you feel digressed because of a pit incident like that, you don't do it. You just do not do it. Meanwhile, in the Battle of the Valleys is currently Sean Jones in front of Massi Riboli, the first of the two. The American currently ahead of the Italian. Rainey's into the pits for his second stop. So it'll be a 5-lap stint to the end for Adam Rainey. Now, where he comes out is important in regards to Nataro, who we believe is one-stopping. So I'm going on the assumption that Pick, Nataro, and Jones are one-stopping this race. I will be proven wrong, most likely, because it always happens in Academy. This is why I do the Pro Championship, because I'm very rarely proven wrong. But we will see Hamming's in as well for his second stop there. If they come out, well, Jones. Sorry, Rainey's out in front of Jones by about what 3 seconds. So that's worked out in his favour. There is Hamming out behind Riboli. Now, we know that Hamming started on the harder compactor tyres, so this is good for him to the end. I don't think the two-stop is as bad as I was originally anticipating, but look at the two up front. It's, what, 19 seconds, sorry, no, 20 seconds between Pignataro and Pasciuto. If Pignataro can get his pace somewhat stable while saving fuel, because, again, the two up front aren't saving fuel, we know this. It's going to be tight. It is going to be very tight indeed. And even if Pignataro does have to stop again, so does everyone else behind him outside of Jones. So, a podium is very much on here for Pignataro. He's not got much to lose by trying this at this point. But the question is he going to be able to win this race? Because it's a realistic thing at this point. I don't see him
saving though. I'm just riding on board, of course, coming into Mulsanne corner, no lift, just full throttle and then braking
trying
into the corner.
And that's what I'm thinking. Does he have the possibility to? And at this point in time, that answer is no, because he's got no one around him. He's 17 and a half seconds behind Scouron, and he's 4 seconds in front of Smith. He's got to drive flat out and basically go, well, damn it, I've now got to two stops, sort of thing. So he is looking to take home 30. Look, take home his second podium in concession as well. So doing a very good drive as well. Meanwhile, Hamming is past Riboli as well in the meantime. He's up into 9th now. It's the two-stopping Hamming. That's second and a half off of Jones. So, the top... I'm fairly confident the top 7 are 100% flat out now for the second stint. Now we know that Pignataro's not saving, he's in the middle of nowhere. Scouron's in, again, which makes sense. Yep, we'll see where he comes out actually in regards to Rainey. I believe, is that Pignataro coming in, or was he going straight on? No, he's not. No, he's carrying on. Looked the way that he moved coming out of the out of Corvette was a bit interesting there. So Scouron drops off the jacks. He won't need much fuel, considering he's only got 5 laps to go here. This race has actually gone rather quickly, Felix, surprisingly. Out of the pits he will go. And he'll come out 3 seconds behind Smith, who's, again, still yet to stop. Brantham is in as well. We're running on board Massimiliano Riboli as he comes out of the final part of the Fortune chicane across the line. Start lap 10 here, Circuit de la Sarre. Ooh, interesting. Jones is 7th.
Yeah, Jones's gap to the leaders at the moment is 46 seconds, roughly. Let's take away a pit stop, about 20, maybe a bit more, 25 seconds or something.
And everyone behind Scouron is still yet to pit. So he's only about 13th, or about, he's still a pit stop within the top 5 here, actually.
Yeah.
This could work, but he's not, I don't think he's saving either. Because
he doesn't have to save as much, I think, because he didn't have the formation up, of course, so he can probably do 7 laps quite easily, yeah?
No, that is a point, actually. He's starting the pit lane, so... this could work very well in the favour of Jones, actually. That'll be interesting. This will actually be interesting to see how this race pans out for the American. Didn't have a great race in the amateur race not too long ago. Served a drive-through on the final lap, which of course lost him double the time. So, 5.5, or less than 5.5 laps to go now. Pasciuto is 21 seconds ahead of Pasciuto. Realistically, could come in now and come out ahead of I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, probably.
28, 29 seconds of a gap.
Roughly, yeah. Yeah, should be able to.
Will he, though, is the question. Because what tyres has he got to go on? He's got to go onto the harder tyres for the end of this race. Meanwhile, Hamilton gets past Jones. Nothing too unusual there. He's going to probably try and use this to his advantage. Ooh. I say that as rear end decides to get a bit loosey-goosey coming out of Indianapolis. And again out of Arnold. That's not going to help you much. I don't know. What is Pasciuto? Pasciuto's doing another lap. So Pasciuto is leaving this as late as he dare.
He also did quite a lot more laps in the first stint. Scarron pitted on lap 4. Pasciuto pitted on lap 6. So...
would a shorter fuel stop now and fresher tyres potentially pull away be more of an advantage than... I don't know. I can see the logic here. But either way... Oh, mind games coming from the top of the field. Because let's put this into context. Pasciuto's coming into the first chicane. Big Nataro is just coming out of Tête de Rouge. That is what a near 22-second gap looks like here. Like, it is insane to think that. Meanwhile, Jones is hanging on to the back of Hamming, pretty well. I'm just mulling this over. Now, Scarron, see, Smith is yet to stop again. So Scarron knows he's guaranteed a podium at this point unless he makes a crucial error. And as long as Camilla Blanc doesn't appear on the camera shot, I won't have another heart attack if something does happen. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Coming down towards the second of the chicanes, you can see Smith in front of him. Getting that gap only 3 seconds. Just trying to think. See, obviously 3 laps to go when Pasciuto crosses the line. Well, I say Pasciuto, either him or Pignataro, it depends who, goes longer. But then again, Felix, you say that Pignataro's not saving, maybe they know something we don't. I mean, it is Ghost Speed, they have a habit of doing this to us, we've seen it before.
Yeah, but, yeah.
I agree that I don't think it is possible in this scenario. But if anyone's going to prove me wrong, it's always going to be, it's either going to be burst, or it's going to be Go Speed or Netrex. It's always how it has been for the past 3-4 years now. So, there's that little niggle of doubt in my head. That, in terms of my own assumptions here. But logically, it seems realistic that he can't. Meanwhile, what does Pasciuto decide to do? Stays out another lap. So he'll probably come in with maybe he'll come in with 1 lap to go, actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Just do the splash of about 6-7 liters.
And then go on the hard tyres and off you go.
Yeah.
Well, Scarron is in traffic. He's 2 seconds behind Smith. So, he's not far off of that dirty air kicking in, especially through the mid part of the lap. And of course, they're running low downforce as it is. So any less downforce, the car is going to want to understeer like a truck. Oh, it's mind games here at the Circuit della Sarda. It's not much happening on track, but on the pit wall and in the minds of everyone, there is warfare going on. We know there are people that are confirmed on that top, Pasciuto, Scarron, people like that. But those 2 outliers, it is ever possible that things could change. And if someone has a slow pit stop, someone makes a mistake, you could see Jones jump up the order, for example. Especially if, like Scarron or Andrea Mia Harry Soa have a major issue. Oh, interesting. No one else is coming out of the 2 stoppers. So they're probably going to be doing the same thing, trying to get as big gap as they can and then all bail in at the same time. Hopefully we don't have a Zaharov Battala situation again. Oh, this is going to get very interesting with, 2 laps to go. I doubt it'll even be 2 laps. I think it'll be the final lap where we will see, probably a do or die move. This is Adam Rainey on the back of Thomas Andrea Miyahari-Soa. So, Rainey 14 seconds now behind Scouron. It's not worked for Rainey, but it might work for others. He's going to go to the inside of the Royal Blue. Makes the move stick. Andrea Miyahari-Soa yet to stop for the second time. Actually, no, he has stopped for the second time. I was going to take that back. No, sorry, he hasn't yet. Now, Scouron's last lap, the fastest race, is 58.8. It was that was 4 tenths quicker than Pasciuto, and 2 seconds almost faster than Smith, and 1.6 faster than Nataro. So that is how Scouron has closed so much to Smith. He's actually within a second of the Netrex now, as they make their way out of Arnage. Ooh. I think we need to go to that fight for P3 because we know that Smith has got to pit, but it's a question of how hard will Smith actually fight Scouron in this scenario. Because he's obviously fighting Nataro here. Because realistically, right, Pasciuto's in. Pasciuto is in. So Pasciuto in with 2 laps to go here.
Short stop for him.
Yeah, it will be a very, very short stop. Where will he filter out? When will he drop off the jacks? There, and he's away. Nataro is coming towards the forward chicanes. Smith and Scouron are fighting. Yeah, Pasciuto's in the lead. Pasciuto is comfortably in the lead. Here is that fight for third. Pasciuto is seconds in the lead. He's actually ahead of Nataro, so he's ahead of... Oh! Can Nataro actually save enough fuel from here? Is he able to save a lap's worth of fuel in 2?
Nah, no
because
way.
He's only a second back. Oh, I don't know. I'm still with you, but we'll see. Andrea Miyahari-Soa, meanwhile, is in. Smith is 7 tenths ahead of Scouron. Smith, we're fairly certain, will be in this lap because, first and foremost, Smith hasn't used the other set of tyres yet, so he's got to come in. Andrea Miyahari-Soa and Yelitalo are in, so Yelitalo in from 10th. Andrea Miyahari-Soa was in from, I believe it was 5th. In the background, you can see Scouron squirming, just trying to get past or find anything. We will know this lap if Go Speed have run the numbers right. Or if they have done something to pull that off. But I doubt it. But there's always that glimmer of hope in the back of your mind, especially as that someone has pulled something off that you thought was nigh impossible, and that'll be what I want to see here. Meanwhile, Scouron is just cruising by Smith because he knows he's got a pit, so there's no point in fighting him. I think Scouron knows that he's not going to catch Pasciuto at this point. So I think he's just going, right, take it easy and relax. Because Scouron has also got the Triple Crown Championship summed up at this point, because he's not going to finish lower than 5th unless he has an accident. Well, he's not. He's going to finish lower than 3rd at this rate because he's right in the back of Harry Smith. He might not need a pit stop to get past him. To the left, he will go on the run towards Indianapolis, and that'll be a nice, easy job done. He's almost already passed, actually, before they even got there. He'll be on the outside for the right-hander, but I wouldn't be surprised if Smith backs out. Yes, he does. He knows this isn't his fight. And he knows that he might as well just let him go, not lose too much time. He's in at the end of this lap anyway. As they exit Arnage, they can just see the back of the top 2. This is the moment of truth, Felix. The single moment of truth. Will Nataro pit is the question. You say yes, I say yes, but will he is the question. We know those guys are mad down at Go Speed to do really interesting strategy plays sometimes when they think they need to. And we're just about to find out. 1 lap to go. The white flag flies in the air and Smith's in. And so is Nataro.
Yep.
They haven't run the numbers. Well, they have, but they know it's not going to work. They couldn't save enough fuel. They tried. I believe they were going to try and get as close as they could, but it wasn't going to work out. Be interesting to see where they come out because Rainey's about 11 seconds back. Adam Rainey might actually jump, but it's not going to be that long a stop. Now, don't tell me Harry Smith's jumping Nataro because I saw it looked very, very close. Meanwhile, Jones. Is Jones coming in? Oh, Jones staying out. Jones is one stopping. So Jones looking for a top 7 hit. Very, very good as well because he qualified outside of the top 10, remember? So we've got a fight on our hands for the final podium place, Felix. It's 1.2 seconds. Raboli's in. But there is Damien Scoudon, 16 seconds behind him, just headed down towards Tetra Rouge, is Pignataro. And a second behind him, here is that fight, is Adam Rainey. Does Rainey have the pace to take the podium away from Pignataro? Have Ghost Speed done enough? Well, they've got well over half a lap to prove it. But Pasciuto, you've got to give it to the guys at Royal Blue. The pace has been outstanding from Pasciuto. This is, I think, the second time that we've seen Scaron struggle for pace, or we've just seen that he has been outdone. And it's going to come at the end of the Triple Crown. It's not going to matter because Scaron has got the title at this point, unless he loses a lot of time because of that lap 1 contact. And that is what we'll have to wait and find out about, because of course, unofficially he will take this. After inquiries, however, and I'm fairly certain that Smith and the Netrex team will protest that, might be a different story. Because he is, depending on how big the penalty is, if it's a 3-place penalty, Pasciuto will take the Triple Crown. Meanwhile, 2/10 behind David Brantham is Thomas Andrea Miyahashi-Soa. Royal Blue versus Abstinero Force Polonia. As they make their way towards the Mulsanne hairpin. Will the Royal Blue be able to do anything? We know they've got some insane pace here today. Goes to the left of the AFP. That was very close indeed. Hits the brakes. Slight little lock there I saw from one of them. That, or it was just the way that the tyre caught the curb. But you have to give it to the guys at Royal Blue. The pace has been there. The consistency has been there. And on a track built for endurance racing by a team of endurance racers, they're going to make it work. They're going to be the only team, remember, to beat Scouron in combat for the second time here in the Academy Championship. It goes to Pasciuto here at Le Mans. Amazing driving. And he could be very happy with that. Scaron's going to finish second, 7.5 or so seconds behind. And they have done it. It was a very tight one stop. They had to change to a 2. But Ghost Speed are going to make it work. Roberto Pignataro makes it 2 podiums in 2 races. And brings Ghost Speed 3rd place. Adam Rainey 4th. 5th is going to be Harry Smith. What could have been, if not for that contact early on, a great recovery. Hamming 6th for HO Engineering. And 7th. Hats off. Driver of the day to Jones. The only driver, I might add, to make a one-stop work. Of course, because of the pit start. But 7th. That is in the top half of the finishing drivers. And I think still would have been in the top 10. Even had the others not retired. That is a very, very solid result. Round up the rest of the point scorers. Andrea Miyahashi-Soa for Royal Blue in 8th. David Brantham 9th for Abstinero Force Polonia. Raboli's just crossed the line in 10th. A double top 10 for Valle here. 11th is going to be Yelitolo. 12th. Yeah, that was very close between the two. And 13th, the boy that's on the naughty step, Gerard Battala. Very much brings that car to a stop. 14th is going to be Maxus, so 3 cars in the top 15 for Valle. And 15th will be Christian Mocciarino. It wasn't a fight to the flag, but it was definitely a strategy game this whole race. And I don't think there is going to be a single unhappy driver on this grid outside of Harry Smith.
Yeah, a great race once again by Cosmo Pasciuto. Beating Scaron when we know the pace that Scaron has is sometimes a bit unachievable by some of these drivers, but Prosciutto has shown us twice now that he's able to beat him. And of course, by doing so, getting a nice amount of points in both the Triple Crown and the regular championship. Triple Crown Championship will be over now, of course. Unfortunately, Prosciutto not able to take it just yet. Has to wait, of course, for what the penalties will be. If there's going to be a big penalty for Scarron, maybe that will mean Prosciutto gets it. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit tight. We'll have to wait and see what happens for that. We'll get some provisional standings up in a second.
I'm just on it. I'm doing my maths right now to try and frantically figure this one out.
Yeah, well, we've got one coming up.
Frantically get my own spreadsheet and get to try and figure something out. The gap is going to be very, very tight at the top of the Triple Crown standings. We know that for certain.
There we go.
There we go. Brought up on screen for you now. Ooh! Now, that is interesting. Because if Scarron loses even one place, he will be behind Prosciutto. Ooh! That is actually interesting. Oh, bring that Hamming third, Smith fourth, pick Nataro fifth in the standings. Actually ties with Harry Smith. Of course, Harry Smith will take it on countback because of Pick Nataro's DNF at Indianapolis. Oh, this is a lot closer than I thought it would be. Because my points remembrance is hilariously bad sometimes. So, your unofficial Triple Crown winner is Damien Scarron. However, it could still go to Prosciutto. We will update you on that as we hear from the officials in the coming days. But for now, congratulations to Scarron. And as we head into the rest of the championship, Felix, we have got a lot to look forward to.
Definitely do. Next race is going to be the Belgian Grand Prix. That's, I think, one of the highlights of the season in any calendar. Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps is an incredible track, and especially with these kind of cars, it's going to be a very nice race, I think, as well. So make sure you tune in for that as well on the 11th of July. But of course, first, coming up today in about 25 minutes is the Pro Championship, also, of course, at the same venue here today. And later on at 19:30 British time, we've got the World Championship coming up, which you don't want to miss, of course. Let's see how Jone Simoncic will be able to defend his championship lead. Perhaps his teammate Michi Hoyer, after a few bad races, of course, a DNF in Azure and in Zandvoort, might be able to crawl back a little bit, get some more points today. We'll have to wait and see. Or will the guys from BS Plus Williams be able to fight for the win today? Make sure you don't miss any of that action coming up later in this afternoon, of course. Of course, a big thanks also to our sponsors making that possible: Masita eSports, SimLab, and 3D Wrap. So, Alex, I think it's time for us to head off for at least the Academy Series today.
It is indeed. Thank you ever so much for joining us. We'll see you on the 11th of July, hopefully with Zach Swinney back in the booth alongside Felix van Delft for the Belgian Grand Prix at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. I will see you in about half an hour's time or so for the Pro Championship with Aidan Millward alongside me, and of course, once again, Felix van Delft on the cameras. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I've been Alex Skinner, alongside me it's been Felix van Delft, and we will see you next time.